You have activated the podcast from the Psychon Network.
And now, on with the show.
Welcome to the Retrograde podcast, the show where we make retro games drop and give us 20. My name is Jack Marshall, and I'm joined today by Anthony Hobday.
Hello.
Lysanne Fisher.
Hello.
And James McFadyen.
Hi.
In today's show, we're going to be discussing the 1998 PC game Half-Life, but before we do, let's have a brief blurb on the game from our anonymous materials inspector himself, chief editor of Psychon.org, Brecky Double K Thomason.
Half-Life is a science fiction-themed first-person shooter video game developed by the Valve Corporation and was the company's debut product and the first in the Half-Life series. In Half-Life, players assume the role of Dr. Gordon Freeman, a theoretical physicist who must fight his way out of a secret underground research facility named the Black Mesa facility, whose research experiments into teleportation technology have gone disastrously wrong. On its release, critics hailed its overall presentation and numerous scripted sequences, and Half-Life went on to win over 50 PC Game of the Year awards. Its gameplay influenced the design of first-person shooters for years after its release, and it is widely considered to be one of the greatest computer games of all time. Half-Life was followed by the 2004 sequel Half-Life 2, which also received critical acclaim. Together, both games have had a notable cultural impact on the gaming world, with both games spawning numerous community mods, as well as an ever-growing devoted fanbase.
Thanks for that, Brecky. We're back.
Yay.
Hi, guys. Hello. And before we should dive in, if you're hearing noises in the background, that's because we've gone all professional this week and we're recording in a music studio, which is quite fancy.
Like how when we go professional, the sound quality actually becomes much worse.
Yeah, it does, because we thought it would be a bit more soundproof, and it's not soundproof at all. But yeah, so we've got drum kits and amps and stuff like that all sitting around. You enjoying it, guys? You liking the room?
Yeah.
It's purple walls.
It's very purple.
It's
got
very purple.
character. I like it. It's atmospheric.
Character is definitely what it's got plenty of.
Certainly not soundproofing.
But we do have one benefit. There's a piano in the room, and James is a... Do you want to play something on the piano, James?
I
Would you
can
like
try.
to?
Yeah, I can try and play something
Bear in mind-
iconic.
Bear in
James is
mind
a wonderful pianist.
Copyright laws and all that, so play something that will probably be alright with. Anything video gamed.
All right. Well,
Play what you
Don't break
what we
into-
agreed.
Don't break into NSYNC like you're doing before the show. That's awesome. It's a theme from Mega Man.
It does make me all warm and happy, though.
It is. It's not very hard.
Yay!
That was awesome.
Yeah, James is the right pianist. But I should let you guys know that while he was playing that, this little cease and desist slipped under the door from Nintendo. Stop playing that right now.
Was it Zelda himself?
Nintendo legal representative.
Zelda herself.
Oh, that's the second time on the podcast you've made that mistake.
Do you play games, Jack?
I don't know what Zelda is. Zelda was the aunt from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh, that was a good show. I like the cat.
I did
He
love
was
that
sassy.
show. I had the biggest crush on Harvey when I was growing up.
I thought you were going to say
What,
the
the cat?
cat.
No, that was Salem. Salem was the
sorry.
cat. So you said you watched it. God, Jack.
Jack and I had the biggest crush on the cat.
Pretty sexy cat.
His voice was so deep. And he knew everything about the witching world.
How are you guys anyway? What have you been up to? We should mention that on Wednesday night, one thing we can talk about, a couple of us, James didn't attend sadly, but we went to an arcade night in a bar called I Am Arcade, which is around the corner. It was also in a place called Sticky Frog's Mike Bar.
Sticky Mike's Frog Bar.
Close enough.
Lots
It was
of
good.
fighting games, yeah.
I got annihilated on Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
At least you won one of your bouts. I just got completely beaten to shreds.
Did I mention that basically we're playing this? So Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I've never played it before.
Yeah.
We had these big
I
arcade
hadn't
sticks. I
played
was
it.
pretty drunk by that point, but I sat next to the guy and I went, mate, I've never played this before. I have no idea what's going on. And he was like, yeah, don't worry, I've never played this game either. He then annihilates me, pulling out all this special combo stuff, finishes, looks at me and goes, yeah, I play this all the time. Just walked off. And I was like,
Wow, he's so cool.
he hustled us, yeah. Definitely.
Proper hustled him. No, it was cool. Apart from the only problem is that all they had was beat 'em ups, and I'm not a big fan of beat 'em ups because there's no real tactical strategy. It's just hit all the buttons, hit all the buttons. That's what it was. Although I managed to pound Anthony really, really hard.
Pounded Anthony.
Yeah, on the Dreamcast.
I was wondering
we were
why
playing
you said
Power
funny.
Stone. Yeah, I pounded his ass really, really hard, and
This isn't even
I really
innuendo
beat
anymore.
him.
You're just saying very rude things.
yeah. No, I beat him off. It was great.
That must have stung a bit, Anthony.
Pardon?
Did that sting a bit?
Well, it's Power Stone, so it's
He
not as if
winced.
I've ever played it before.
On the whole, would you say?
I'd never played it before
Actually,
either.
no,
I was
I
just
have.
hitting all the buttons.
Having said that, I have played Power Stone maybe 10 minutes before, so it's quite a famous game on the Dreamcast.
Well, that's what we... Have any of you guys... James, what have you been up to? You didn't make it.
I moved into my new flat, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've been looking for a while.
You're going to have a man cave set up?
Well, it's basically one massive man cave, really. There's like...
He's living with his girlfriend.
With a girl in it, a man cave with a girl in it.
She's
Yeah,
confined to
definitely.
the kitchen area. No, it's
Hi, Charlotte.
Yeah,
Although she played Heavy Rain last night, didn't you? You were
Yeah,
saying? Anthony's
she's gagging for
favourite
Heavy
game?
Rain.
Least favourite game?
Yeah, no, nearly one of my favourite games. It's probably maybe 100th on the list. It's near the top of favourite games. Probably like in the hundreds somewhere.
Anthony, how many minutes would you say you've played Heavy Rain for?
0.
0 minutes. Interesting. Interesting.
I think
You
I
made such
watched-
a profoundly decisive decision about a game that you've never even...
I think I watched about 5 minutes of it being played before by someone else.
You've got most of the experience. I'm not...
Yeah, I mean, it was all teeth brushing and
That's character development. It's exposition, you know?
having showers by pressing
Anthony
X.
doesn't like games like that, remember?
Yeah, but it's not got explosions and guns in the first 5 minutes. I'm out.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind.
I had a major achievement this week.
Oh.
I completed Skyward Sword, finally.
Awesome.
Ooh, how long did it
46 hours.
take? Bloody hell.
Not straight, obviously. I've had work and a life and stuff. But yeah, it's been over the past 3 weeks or so. Yeah, completed it. Thought, yes, this is sweet. And then it said, do you want to play hero mode? I was like, oh no.
Is that a new game plus?
Well, I then Googled it to see what hero mode was, because it said I would lose all my original save data if I did it. And so I Googled it, and it turns out you just play the whole campaign again, but everything costs you twice as much damage, and you can't pick up hearts in the wild anymore. So the heart flowers are gone, you can't get any from pots or killing enemies.
It's like hard
I
mode.
don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that.
Well, until you then get the heart medal back, and then the game carries on like normal. Obviously, you still take double damage, but then you can get a potion from the shop, which means it reverts back to normal damage. So then you basically are just playing the game again. So I'm not going to do hero mode.
Is there a potion in the original game that halves the damage you take?
Yes.
So it's still more difficult than it would have
Yeah,
been.
but I only used that for the final boss.
Okay.
I didn't use
Street
that throughout
cred.
the whole game. But yeah.
Awesome. Good game, though.
Oh, it was incredible. It was absolutely amazing. I played Ocarina of Time for the very first time this year because I didn't have an N64, and I
my
played it.
God.
I played it on the 3DS in 3D, and that was amazing. It was epic. I loved it. And so yeah, got Skyward Sword, and it was better.
Really?
But that might be because I haven't played Ocarina when I was younger.
I've heard people saying.
But what I loved about it was that you have to get the Wii Motion Plus remote, and the accuracy of the movements is 1-to-1. So holding the Wii remote in my hand, that was the hilt of the sword.
You became Link.
And yeah, and every movement I
You
did,
mean Zelda?
and every movement I did with my hand, like imagining it was the sword, completely replicated on screen. It was brilliant.
So they've when was the Wii released?
The Wii,
2005, I think.
I think it was 2005.
So when was Skyward Sword released? 2011.
Skyward
right?
Sword was last year.
Last Christmas.
Okay, so
Last
6
year.
years after the console was released, they finally made good on their promise of 1-to-1 controls.
Well, they tried with Twilight Princess.
That was a
Well,
mistake.
the original Wii remote wasn't strong
Wii-
enough to be able to do
Wii
it. That's why they.
Sports. I became a great tennis player on Wii Sports. That's brilliant. And bowling.
It's just flicking your wrist.
You
That's
could,
what
you,
you
could
gotta
be
do.
you could be an accomplished
Years
tennis
of
player
practice.
having some kind of epileptic fit whilst playing Wii Sports, though. No.
Anthony, what have you been up to? Anything interesting?
Well, you've already mentioned the I Am Arcade Night, which is the only gaming-related thing.
Yeah.
It was good fun though.
It was.
We
yeah,
did
no,
have fun.
I enjoyed it.
I'm going again.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Need to practice Marvel's Capcom 3. I had one little thing that I want to bring that brings us onto the subject of Half-Life. We do our voiceover this week, and we get a professional in called Brecky. He's got a great voice. But this week I thought, what the hell? I'll contact Gabe Newell in an email and say, listen, we're a humble little podcast. Would you like to do a voiceover? And he replies to people on Reddit, sending pictures of cats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Didn't reply. Didn't get anything. And I was expecting maybe even just a little bit of a, I'm sorry, I haven't got the time. But didn't get nothing. I was a little bit disappointed. So
He gets a lot of emails.
Well, he's
probably
busy.
gets- he probably gets thousands.
Because he
Yeah.
gives out his email all the time.
You could literally just, you can just email him. But yeah, oh well. We got the normal guy in. He's just as good. So
Normal guy.
I'd say Brecky's better
yeah.
because he actually agrees to do it.
And Gabe.
But that brings us on to.
I thought you were actually about to say, and here's Gabe now, and he was going to walk in, and that's why we're in a professional studio, was to impress Gabe.
I don't know, that door's a bit
no.
small, though. Like,
Whoa! Listen, every time.
Do you know, I'm all up for dissing him now. He's let me down. Broke my heart.
No, every time you make fun of Gabe Newell's weight, he delays Half-Life 3 further. So we can't. That's a well-known thing.
Yeah, but eventually they're going to delay it enough that it'll, because time's circular, obviously.
It'll go back
come
around.
back It'll be released in the 50s.
Released tomorrow or something.
And nobody will know what it is.
Cyclical, yeah.
Yeah, that's a word.
Half-Life.
Yeah, that's all about it. I picked this game and I went back and played it. Classic 1998 game. I went back and played it, and I've got to say, it's the greatest game I've ever played. I think it's the best thing I've ever played. I went back and realised...
You said that about Super Mario World.
You say that about every game you play. Like,
maybe they're good for different reasons.
If this is not in my top 3... No, I mean, if it was number 1, it would definitely be in my 1, 2 or 3. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I think it's aged fantastically well. It's lost a lot of its original impact because it's been copied so many others. But I loved it. I went back, I played it, completed it within like 2 days, went back and played all my mods, started playing Team Fortress again, and I realised, wow, this game was just absolutely phenomenal.
Are people still playing the original Team Fortress?
Yeah, I'd imagine so, yeah. I managed to get on a server. It wasn't as busy, but people are still playing Counter-Strike, like version 1.
Yeah, that
I suspect you mean Team Fortress Classic, not the original Team Fortress.
Team Fortress was Quake.
I don't know what the distinction is.
Yeah, Team Fortress 1 was Quake-based.
Oh,
Team Fortress Classic was
really?
based on Half-Life engine.
I didn't know that, okay.
Yeah. I played the original Team Fortress, so
yeah,
that's why I know all about it.
Wasn't that released in like 94?
I don't know when it was released. It's just really old.
Quake was about 93, 94. So yeah, probably about 94, something like that. But yeah, that's what I think of the game. That's why I chose it this week. So let's go on to what Lysanne thought of the game.
Do you not want to do the others first?
Okay, let's go on to what Anthony thought of the game.
I was thinking, you said that so many games have copied it. I was thinking maybe that Half-Life is basically the Super Mario world of cinematic first-person shooters.
Arguably, yeah, I'd agree with you.
You know, a really solid game when it was released, but so many games have done it since, and obviously with graphical and technological improvements, there are games that have done it better since, because, you know, some companies are cracking out really good titles these days. So I think, yeah, it's had a huge impact on the industry at large and continues to, but I don't think it's held up very well.
No?
I say that having gone back to it, because I didn't play it when it first came out.
Okay.
I played Half-Life 2 quite late. So Half-Life 1, I was going back to that from probably after Half-Life 2. So it was quite a step backwards for me.
But you didn't particularly enjoy Half-Life then?
I can see how good it is. It's just not my bag, I guess. It's a bit slow for me.
Okay, that's weird you said that, because I think it's one of the fastest moving games. But anyway, James, what do you think of Half-Life?
I need to preface this with a simple statement. I can understand the impact it had on the industry. I mean, I played it far after it came out. Because I played Half-Life 2 in, I think, 2005, a year after it came out. Yep. And I also thought it was a piece of... I can understand the effect it had. But overall, it's just going back to it these days, it's a very, very generic military industrial complex shooter with a sci-fi bit tacked on at the end. You know, it's like... I don't enjoy corridors. I don't really enjoy machine guns. I don't enjoy mercenaries. I don't enjoy explosions. I don't enjoy...
You're not a fan of war in general?
No, I'm more of a lover. And I just it's a very generic experience. I can appreciate the advances in narrative, you know, with the cutscenes not actually taking you away from the action. Maybe they're not even cutscenes. Maybe that's
in-game cinematics.
Yeah, in-game cinematics. But I just it's very unenjoyable to play for me. I just, after about 5 minutes, I feel as though it's grinding me down, and I just want to stop. But I can't, because I'm doing a podcast about it, so I have to keep playing. I have to spend my evenings playing this goddamn military first-person shooter that I just can't derive any enjoyment out of, because it's so generic and utterly unenjoyable to the core. But no, aside from that, it's pretty good. Lysanne, what did you...
So keep in mind, I hate first-person shooters, and I never play them, and I absolutely detest them. For this reason, I put off playing Half-Life until I'd completed Skyward Sword. I completed Skyward Sword on Thursday. Today's Sunday. I loved Half-Life. I thought it was amazing.
Really?
I did, honestly. I'm really annoyed.
Of course.
No, I'm really annoyed that I only had time, because I've had a lot to do this weekend. I've only had time to play it for 2 hours, and I'm 2 hours in, and I love it. I think it is brilliant.
Why?
I don't know. I think, because I played Quake when I was a child, and I liked that because it was quite simple, and there was only one route to go. Because what I don't like with a lot of first-person shooters is that they're open maps, and I hate open maps. This is why I like platforms, because I like knowing where I have to go. I don't... Yeah, I mean, like Zelda is an open map thing, but it's very, very clear where you're meant to go. and what you're meant to do, but you don't get that in like Call of Duty and stuff. And so I think because it is all the corridors and everything, it was great, and it wasn't constant enemies jumping out at you like in Gunstar and Call of Duty and stuff. You actually had time, and there were puzzle elements as well, which I was not expecting, and I love my puzzle games. And so that really helped, and I liked the story as well with the aliens and it all going crazy, and I'm really excited to go home and finish it tonight.
Awesome. I'm really pleased with that. Anthony, you look like you wanted something to say about that. Or
when Lysanne was saying that it's corridors, you know where to go and things, I noticed at one point that, and this is kind of in contradiction to Lysanne's point, in modern shooters there's a lot of hand-holding in terms of like maybe objective markers.
Yeah. And
they'll give you a compass that points you in the direction you need to go in. Whereas Half-Life, I noticed, and now I'm used to these modern shooters, there's no hand-holding at all, really. You have to figure out from your environment.
But there's only one path.
Yeah, but
there's only one route. It's only like, right, okay, well, I'll go that way. Oh, it's a dead end. Right, okay, then I'll go back, and that's the right way.
He's saying
that's it.
You're saying there are some times where you might walk in a room and go, where do I go? And you kind of got to look for a vent or something.
Yeah, like in Call of
Duty,
Duty, for example, big campaign shooters these days, probably the premier campaign shooters released, in this era. It tells you what to do all the time, so it's really just the enjoying the set pieces that keeps you going. Whereas in Half-Life, like you say, it's more of a puzzle shooter because you have to figure out.
Yeah.
Like I got into rooms sometimes, and you had to break down these planks covering a doorway.
Yeah.
And in nearly every game you come across in modern times, you see planks covering a doorway. You're not going to break them down. That's like an artificial limiter.
It's telling you can't go that way.
Yeah. So I was in the room for a while thinking, where do I go now? I figured, wait, I'll just try breaking down these planks, I guess, because I'd forgotten that part of the game from playing it previously. And that surprised me because I wasn't expecting it to be so subtle in its here's what to do next-ness.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I mean, it was very... it did a lot of things at the time that was very... Have you got to a bit of the military yet, Lysanne?
The last bit I got to was I completed the office space bit.
Office, yeah.
And a dude, like the scientists that I'd met along the way, they were building up to... when I start playing it when I get home, I think the military are going to
Okay, you
turn
realise
up
it's
properly.
not the same scientists, they just had the same faces.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
Oh, right, okay,
I know,
yeah.
I'm aware of that.
Reappearing. There was only 4 faces in the game, one Barney face. There's 4 different scientists, and that was it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
I did enjoy the fact that you could kill the scientist as well. Not that I did that.
Yeah, you can. You can kill the Barneys as well, which is horrible.
What's a Barney?
The security guards.
Oh, the security guards. Oh, I didn't know that.
He only once... I don't think they... do they mention in the game that his name's Barney? I think they do. I think they do say Barney once, and that's why the security guards has got known as Barney.
Yeah, well, he's an actual character in Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
They make one guy Barney, but in the first game he was sort of a big character. He was everywhere. Do you guys think so? Lysanne, me and Lysanne, really love it. You guys kind of think not really enjoyed it so much. Do you think back in the day, if you'd have played it back in '98, it would have had a bit more of an impact on you?
Do you mean when I was 5, or with my experiences now? Like if I was 19 in '98?
Yes, if you were back in '98 now, and thinking about the history of games, that before Half-Life was Quake, and things like stories in first-person shooters pretty much didn't exist.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming. In many ways, right, Half-Life 2 is more revolutionary than Half-Life 1 because the physics system just opened up so many more possibilities. And I played that roughly around the time when the impact was the greatest. Like, it was about a year after it came out, which is not... I mean, it's still cutting edge in 2005, right? And I played Half-Life 2 then, and it didn't sway me. I thought it was overrated. I couldn't understand the appeal.
Half-Life 2 as well?
Yeah, I just... Really? To be honest, I think that Valve's games in general tend to be a bit overhyped. You know, everyone thinks they're... Left 4 Dead, and I'm sorry, Anthony, but I think Left 4 Dead is one of the most generic games I've ever played in my life as well.
What about Portal?
Portal 2? The original Portal, I thought, gained a lot of praise that was undeserved because the dialogue in the game, although witty, wasn't anything particularly special, and there wasn't much of it. Portal 2, however, the production values combined with that sort of interesting, quirky aesthetic was fantastic, and I think it deserves everything that it got.
Right, okay.
But I think that...
we can kill him, yeah?
Yes.
Talk more about Left 4 Dead being generic.
Daggers at me. Huh?
Talk more about Left 4 Dead being generic.
I think it's just because
you know how much he's played Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, I've been...
Sorry, I'm pointing at Anthony right now.
It's essentially you're running through corridors, you may be outside, but it's still very blocky terrain, and you're just mindlessly spraying at all of these zombies. You've got a few special infected, but it's not like the...
Sorry, Sorry, you said spraying all the zombies, and Anthony looks at me and Jack and gives us an eyebrow.
What?
Keep going. Anthony, keep your eyebrows under control.
I just think that there's nothing particularly compelling or interesting or unique about Left 4 Dead that hasn't been done elsewhere.
But this isn't.
Well, I suppose the director AI could be considered something new, but that's not really. They marketed that as something it wasn't. It's essentially just adaptive difficulty.
But I mean, the thing is, I loved it, and I haven't played a first-person shooter since Quake when I was like 6, and I really, really liked it. But and I think that's because I've played Portal and Portal 2, and that kind of got my head into the, carrying the gun around. Obviously, I know Portal device isn't for killing; it's for portals. But it's that style and that puzzle aspect that I liked in Half-Life, and Half-Life felt a lot like Portal to me, especially. And I noticed this. I don't know if any of you noticed this. There's some of the same sound clips. Yes. When you try and press a button, or when you use the E button, and it's that noise that is also in Portal and Portal 2. And the first time I did that and heard it, I was like, oh my god, that was amazing. But yeah, I think that's what helped me like it.
The way you could relate it to the Portal games, like the Valve games were always quite incestuous. They reused some assets a lot of the time, and mechanics get reused, and even the Half-Life games and the Portal games have like certain thematic story elements. That
definitely.
Well, they are all in the same engine
and the same universe.
Yes.
Yeah, they are.
But so they are going to be a lot of similarities because they're all in the Source engine. I mean, there's other games I think have used Source. You can see this, like Left 4 Dead, even though you could tell that was made in a Half-Life engine by the graphics and stuff like that.
Easily. It was,
and the controls and the way it moves and stuff like that.
I think the most impressive use of the Source engine so far has been Dota 2, which Valve developed, and that impressed me because it was such a departure, whereas everything else was a very similar first-person shooter.
Well, no, they released... they hired that team to release Alien Swarm in the Source engine.
But
that was top-down.
Even that had a similar feel to me to their other first-person shooter games, even though it was third-person, because just the way the engine felt to use, I don't know, that's totally subjective.
I thought the style of the game and the graphics of the game, the way it felt to me, it really, really reminded me of a game that I had when I was 10 called, and it was on floppy disk for my PC, called The Castle of Dr. Brain, which was an educational game. And that was made by Sierra.
Yeah,
and
who published Half-Life.
Yeah. And it felt like The Castle of Dr. Brain at points when I was playing it. And then I looked up to see, because I knew Valve had done Half-Life. And it was Sierra, and I was like... Castle Dr. Brain. And then I thought, maybe we should do Castle Dr. Brain.
What was Castle Dr. Brain meant to be teaching you?
Oh, it taught you everything. It taught you programming. It taught you maths. It taught you astronomy. It taught you English, language skills, grammar and spelling. Mm-hmm. It taught you about astronomy, programming, electrics, physics.
So you're not storming
biology.
The castle of Dr. Brain.
Oh no, you are. You are going through the castle of Dr. Brain. You're trying to find Dr. Brain to stop his evil powers of world domination, and you've got to go into all these different rooms. You've got to unlock all these rooms, doing all these puzzles. And when you get in the rooms, you then got to do all these other puzzles. And there's logic puzzles as well.
There's some hidden messages in there. They're saying kill the brain. Do you kill the brain with drugs or anything like that?
No.
No. Oh, damn it. Do you not throw alcohol at him?
No. But yeah, it felt like a Sierra game.
Well, just quickly,
which was really cool.
Just to list some of the things, so I thought I'd make a list of all the things that Half-Life did first, which is quite hard to now look back because some of them have done so much. But obviously, in-game cinematics, there's no cutaways or no cutaway shots. When you first start the game, there's no HUD, which at the time was actually quite surprising. People were like, where's the HUD? I've seen so many people when they first played it back in the day in '98. They would sit on the tram ride and not move the mouse because they didn't realise. They thought they were watching like a cutscene. And so they'd go, oh, I can move. Quick loading. There was no levels. There was just chapters that rolled into each other.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Which was a real famous thing because it was kind of like you didn't know when to stop. You had to actually go... Like, normally you complete a game, you complete a level, you complete a chapter, you go, I'll stop after this chapter. Yeah. But with Half-Life, it just kept rolling. Modding, they were one of the first. I know Doom and Quake were, but they shipped with the game. And I've got the manual here; it's in there.
I was reading that before. They've got
Worldcraft, which then got named to Hammer Editor.
I was surprised they included that modding stuff
with the game. Yeah,
in the manual. That's pretty impressive.
It was the first game, arguably, to do on CD key to enable multiplayer, which was the first game that kind of almost did DRM style stuff. Vents. I can't think of a game where you have to crawl through vents before Half-Life, and that's become a famous thing. And smashing crates, the whole thing of crates. I don't think any game really did crates before Half-Life.
Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, maybe Crash Bandicoot. He had them. One of the ones I remember at the time that was really controversial was the quick save and quick load buttons, which a lot of people did love. A lot of people didn't love as well. It was loved and hate because it kind of took away a lot of difficulty, people said, from the game, because you could just press F6. Do you notice playing it?
Yeah. I had to look up the controls.
F6 quick save, F7 quick load. So you could just go, F6 saves. And I would save every 2 minutes, just be going dunk, dunk, dunk. And again, at that time, people used to checkpoints. Like Resident Evil came out with like using ink ribbons in the prints. You have to be careful of how you save. And then Half-Life came.
Clumsy, yeah.
Then Half-Life came along and just done a thing if you can save whenever you want, as much as you want. And people were like, that takes away difficulty.
I think the difficulty of Half-Life, especially with the soldiers, which I guess we'll talk about later, almost required the use of quick saving and quick loading. And that sort of gave Valve a crutch in that they could say, the player can quick load and quick save, so it doesn't matter how difficult we make it.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be balanced because they can just, keep reloading it. I don't like that. I like games that, let you make mistakes, then not have to go back and try it again.
Hang on, wait, the quick load... Does that not just load your game quickly, or is that reloading your gun?
Quick save and quick load on F6 and F7. Quick load was just you press F6, save a game.
Just
you
press
F7, it will jump you back to where you just saved it. It will load your last saved game.
Okay, right.
So you don't have to go back to the menu and click load. Then you can just use the keyboard.
Then you could just kind of like run in, go nuts. If someone kills you, I'll press F7 again. Dunk, load again.
It's the same. It's the same problem you saw in games like Max Payne. Because there was a lot of trial and error. You had to jump around a corner and start shooting, and if you got it wrong, you had to quick load again, jump around the same corner, shoot the same enemies, and you just do that again and again until you got it right, didn't lose any health, and then go to the next corner and shoot the next load of enemies. And I think you should be able to run in guns blazing and come out unscathed if you really want to, and not have to just quick load every 5 minutes.
Maybe that's why which one of you said the game was quite slow?
Me.
You, Andy. I was surprised you said that because I'm used to playing it, but the actual movement speed of Gordon Freeman in Half-Life is very fast.
I found the speed comfortable. I didn't think it was too fast, and I wasn't sitting there going, hurry up.
I've played the game to death before. I can run through the game. I can just jump, and I can get through the first, I can get through about half of the game in about 3 hours. Really, really quickly. And that's because I could just run, jump, spin, jump, spin. And even the mouse, I know it's mouse sensitivity. Something did happen to me, though, that made me feel really worried. It made me nauseous.
Oh, really?
And I forgot that Half-Life used to make me nauseous. Because I would move the mouse so quick. And have you ever played... what game is it that has a quick spin? Is that Left 4 Dead? You press a button, it will quickly spin you around on the spot.
No, maybe the console versions did. I know that Resident Evil 4 had quick spin on the consoles.
I was going to say, have you ever watched the professional Counter-Strike players?
Yeah.
They'll just their movement of their mouse would just be like, joom, joom, like they're just bouncing it all over the place, like a hummingbird or something. And it makes me feel. And Half-Life did that. And I did have to stop playing and go, I need to have a little rest. I got a headache from playing this, which is worrying. But I guess that was why I just thought it was a very fast game. But do you mean slow in terms of what happens in the game?
Yeah, not the movement speed. It's just not. It's quite a methodical game. You're sort of plodding along. Not movement speed, but the obviously there's these action sequences, and you get into firefights with the soldiers. But even then, it stays slow because of all the quick loading and the quick saving. Like you have to make sure that you're not losing half your health to one firefight, which is extremely possible, even on easy.
You do spend a lot of the game as well. I know it's just constantly powering up generators. It's a constant thing of the power's down, and you do have to keep going and finding buttons to press and stuff like that. But I like that. But it was a lot of times of how can we sort of add a bit here?
Well, that's a throwback to the sort of the Quake style, finding the red key to open the red door, finding the blue key to open the blue door.
Find ways around that. Yeah.
I mean, I guess these days they might call that padding, and maybe that's one reason why games like campaigns these days in first-person shooters are 6 hours long instead of 20, because they don't put all that find the blue key for the blue door stuff in.
We're breezing through the show very quickly, so I just want to talk about something. And I don't know if you can count this, because one of the reasons I also love this game is the fact that the game carried on giving after you'd completed it. And what I mean is by the legacy it left on, with mods especially. Yeah. Because it was so... As a kid buying it and paying 25 quid for it or whatever, getting it and then finding out, wow, I can download mods and And I was a big fan of single-player mods. I used to go on this website called Planet Half-Life, which I think is still going.
I remember that one, yeah.
Another one called Hangar 16, which specialised in doing single-player mods. And it was awesome. I was downloading these on a 56k, waiting for 4 days to download these mods. Is it fair to kind of... I guess we probably on the show only review the game for the game itself, but is it fair to bring in the legacy?
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to talk about, especially with the Half-Life game.
Yeah, and especially with the recent release.
I would say, I'll go into that in a second, but I'd say Half-Life is probably one of the most Well, what's the word? I don't want to say influential. What I mean is the fact that it spawned things like Day of Defeat, Counter-Strike, Team Fortress 2, Left 4 Dead, Portal. Maybe that's just Valve being a damn good company, but it is definitely one of these games that's had a massive legacy of arguably quality games.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
arguably, James.
Okay, I'll let it go.
I have no interest in this genre of games, and so I have never heard of Half-Life or anything up until a year and a half ago when I first joined Reddit, and then all I hear on Reddit is, Half-Life, 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 Half-Life 2, Half-Life 3. They are, but I'm just saying the fact that this game came out in 1998 and it is now 2012 and it's 14 years and people still go on about it, that is the sign of an all-time classic game.
I think personally they go on more about Valve than Half-Life in particular, the game. Don't forget, Valve invented Steam, which every PC game now.
God, Reddit is basically the Steam fan club these days.
Yeah, but Steam
is awesome.
Fantastic.
Steam is fantastic, but it's weird. They're very, Reddit's very hypocritical. We hate DRM. Oh no, we love Steam. Gabe Newell for president.
It is, there are moments, and the funny thing is,
Gaben.
What makes me laugh about Reddit as well is that Gabe Newell, who I think is creative director, he is an awesome guy. They all love him, but not the real guy, but the actual guy behind the brains behind all of Valve is a guy called Doug Lombardi, and he's the guy they should be praising because he's the business and the marketing side of Valve. And I would imagine that Gabe, when they see him in the corridors at Valve, they're like, "Hey, Gabe's here." But if Doug Lombardi walks out, they go, "Don't disturb him."
Who's this jabroni?
Yeah, but he's the guy that was like the big influence. He was the one that was doing all the business deals, making everything work, and he deserves a much bigger pat on the back than Gabe Newell, in my opinion.
To be honest, though, I'd still disagree with you in that he deserves that much praise because people tend to do this with game development studios. They look at people like Warren Spector, Cliffy B. Gabe Newell, Hideo Kojima, Miyamoto. They look at the lead developer and they pin all of the game's success and the qualities on them. Yeah. But they'd be pretty much worthless without the team of really skilled, hardworking people behind them. And I think that the reason for a quality game is all of those people combined. So I don't really think it can be pinned to any one person like that.
No, you're completely right. No, you are completely right. And but Valve are one of these studios where it's just known in games and you should work for Valve is awesome. They expect the best out of you. But did you hear they every Christmas take all their staff away on a holiday, including the staff's family? So last year they all went to, I think it was the year before, Cancun. Last year they went to Hawaii. Yeah. For all the family. And if you don't have family, like if you haven't got a girlfriend or anything, you bring a couple of friends along. That's how impressive. Awesome is that?
That is awesome.
But then on the flip side of that, like I was saying to Brekkie the other day, I used to work for Disney, and they were great for their perks, but they expected the best of you as well. Like they made you work hard, but they would reward you for doing so. But
how hot are those Mickey Mouse suits?
No, Jack was one of the princesses.
It's the kids. It's the kids kicking you in the crotch that's even worse.
Yeah, I thought they gave you padding for that, like extra padding in the crotch.
I didn't need the padding. I kind of enjoyed it a little bit. Sorry, too far. I wanted to quickly talk about modding though, because I was a huge single-player fan. Do you remember Gunman Chronicles? Anyone play that?
I haven't.
Because the game had.
I think I came across it.
The game had 3 retail versions. One of them was actually a mod called Gunman Chronicles. There's also Blue Shift and Opposing Force, where the add-ons made by Gearbox, who have now gone on to do things like Borderlands 2 and stuff like that. Brilliant company.
Anthony's shaking his head in disapproval at Gearbox.
I made a list because there was Poke 64, 6, Chemical Existence, there's loads, but the one in particular, and I researched this for the show and I was really surprised, there was a guy called Neil Mankey. Now,
that's an unfortunate story.
Manke, Mank maybe? Just Monk? I don't know. But,
where's he from?
He was from America.
Oh, okay.
But he was a modder, and he made the best mods ever made for Half-Life. He made one called USS Darkstar, and then made a series of games called They Hunger, based on Half-Life.
Oh, I've heard of those, yeah.
They were fantastic. I love this guy. Anything he put out, I was like, this is going to be brilliant. He was making one for the Source Engine called They Hunger Lost Souls, but since 2006, the website, they were in development, they were making it. His studio called Black Mesa Games. Then 2008, they posted a few screenshots, and he's, almost literally disappeared. No one knows what's happened to him. He completely... And then even the people he works with can't get in touch with him, to the point where only one of them managed to say, I think he might be quite seriously ill, which is obviously quite sad. No one knows what's happened to him. And it's real bizarre because the website, the game, if you've ever gone it, it's called They Hunger the Lost Souls. It looks fantastic, and it just disappeared.
Was he involved with Scientology in any meaningful way?
No, careful! They're going to be after us now, James.
They already are.
Well,
did Gaben eat him?
Half-Life 3 delayed again.
Yeah. But no, the only reason I say it is because if we do have people listening, or if he was listening, which is awesome, I'd love to know what happened, because no one knows. He literally disappeared. And there was, among the single-player fan base of Half-Life, which was me, the modders, a little bit, No one ever knows what happened to him. It's just bizarre. But
What are the chances there was a resonance cascade and he
good.
didn't survive Zen as well as Gordon Freeman did?
Gordon Freeman, is that meant to sound like Morgan Freeman? Was that intentional? Because as
No.
soon as I heard Gordon Freeman, I was like, they're giving a little nod to Morgan Freeman there. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I was going to ask you guys, well, all of you about this. Gordon Freeman, it's very weird. It's not meant to be Morgan Freeman. No, it's not.
Okay.
Because he doesn't talk. And that's the thing. Why do you think
Which would have been nicely ironic.
they chose an incredibly nerdy name, an incredibly nerdy character, a scientist in a lab? I mean, do you reckon the mentality was that just because geeks play video games, they might feel like they relate to Gordon Freeman?
I think maybe it was meant to be more realistic, and I wrote down this is the first. Well, I wrote down that down-to-earth first-person shooters were pretty rare at this time. It was all fantasy, magical. Obviously, this has got alien worlds and stuff, but it's still very down-to-earth. And there wouldn't be some superhero type in a science complex where this sort of thing would happen.
No, but like the opening screen, the title screen, that's when you see Gordon. You don't see him at any other point.
Yeah.
And then compared to all the other people who were working at the facility, Gordon is the only one under like around 30. The others are all really old.
Are you trying to say that you were looking at scientists going, I'm not attracted to these guys, but Gordon Freeman?
Yeah.
He wouldn't be attracted to
got a
Gordon
goatee.
Freeman. He's a real
Have you
hero.
seen Link? Have you seen how hot Link is? Link is hot.
Like
Is that the girl from Zelda?
Yes,
Yeah, it is.
yes, it is. No, but I mean, he's the only one who's of a decent age. He's obviously got a decent build on him because you can see in his suit that he's good, and he's in there doing all.
I never noticed that, I'll be honest.
He's in there doing all the. He's in the testing facility in the room doing all the physical stuff because the others are all horrible old men. So of course he was going to be the one to save it.
When you play men in video games, you kind of look down at the body using the camera and go, oh yeah, look at me. I'm
No.
wrecked.
Well, that's what every man did in Trespasser. You ever play Trespasser?
I thought you were about to say that's what every man did in Tomb Raider.
Oh,
was
yeah,
just
that-
look
yeah.
down
So, yeah, all the-
and just look down at
you have to walk
Lara's
into
boobs.
a corner.
Yeah,
They
walk
kind
into
of
a
back
corner
the
and look
camera up
down.
slowly.
Hello, polygons.
She was far too jagged for my taste.
Desperately trying to hammer in a nude code all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Nude code.
The video,
It would be nice to have a strong female lead who wasn't overly sexualized
Beyond Good
in
and
a
Evil.
game.
Yeah, I
though.
was about to say Jade from Beyond Good and Evil.
Beyond Good and Evil.
Oh, I don't know that game.
But no, speaking of the test chamber,
Were we? Okay.
Yeah,
Lysanne mentioned it, and then we started talking
Yeah,
about bodies for some reason.
Jack.
They've got the rotors, right? And they start spinning the rotors in the test chamber for the big laser machine.
I jumped in there for funsies, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Did you
just
die?
to see what would happen.
Died.
No, because I didn't.
comes
Oh
out
no,
with
you
four
do.
arms.
No, you don't have the life bar by that point. I don't think.
Oh.
No, you don't.
That comes in
Oh, no,
later
no,
when
you
you
do,
put.
'cause you pick up the
Oh yeah, because you
HDV
put the suit on. Yeah. Obviously, I died, but it's fine. You just restart. You don't have lives.
But they start the rotor, and all Gordon's required for that is to press the button at the top.
Push the trolley as well, yeah.
He climbs up, push the button, then he climbs down, push the trolley, and I realise, why couldn't they just have a machine do all this stuff? Why is Gordon even in the test chamber in the first place?
It was pretty rubbish that they had a robot that held the thing, whatever the yellow thing was
The
that
sample,
they put in
yeah.
the sample. Yeah, and they had a robot that held it, and it had wheels on it. It looked a bit like Wall-E. But yeah, it had a little handle on the back so Gordon could push it, and it's just
Yeah,
like, well, why did
It
Gordon
was,
just put it in?
it was a pointless job, yeah.
Well, I think that specific part in the game is pretty tongue-in-cheek. I think they're consciously doing that because in Half-Life 2, when you have to power up the teleporter for the first time, and Barney's like, "Hey, Gordon, plug in that switch." You do it, and he's like, "Hey, I guess that MIT education's really paying for itself." You know, that's kind of like the same deal, and they're actually acknowledging it consciously that time. So I reckon that's
That's
a bit-
good.
Yeah.
As much as I absolutely love Half-Life, there is one thing that we have to mention. That's the fact that the ending of the game is pretty goddamn awful. You haven't got there yet, but
I don't think I'm going to now.
the last 2 hours of the game, you go to a place called Zen, and it's famously known as incredibly annoying. It becomes a platforming game. You have to do these really precise jumps. The final boss is an absolute nightmare. It's just boring. Do you think that's maybe the worst? I mean, do you guys agree with that? Did you ever get to
Yeah, it was
Zen?
terrible.
I mean, you just didn't enjoy all of it, but yeah. But
It's quite a departure from the rest of the game.
Mm.
And as I was saying before, it's sort of the first down-to-earth first-person shooter, but that ending shows that maybe they didn't want to keep it down-to-earth. Then again, having all these hints at this alien world throughout the game, the chance to go there was probably pretty exciting to players at the time. Because you see all these aliens, you think, where do these aliens even come from? Like, it's hinting at this other world to place.
Well, I love the moral message that they're like, I love when the aliens, a lot of them, when you start shooting them, they get hurt, they'll run away. Especially the little puppy dog things that go when they run in.
With the giant eye.
And it's quite nice because you realise that the aliens aren't really doing anything bad. Imagine if I was
They're
here
trying
now.
to kill you.
No, but imagine if I was here now and I got teleported to some alien world. I'd go, what the hell's going on? And I'd be running around killing things as well. Going, I don't know where I am.
I'm right there with you.
yeah.
Buddy. Kill everything.
Kill everything. That's the thing. I'm not going to go there and go, whoa. And these aliens, they might be going, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? And they're just wild animals who've
That's
been
how they say
teleported
hello.
in.
We're asking you
Do you
how your day's
think?
going.
Do you think it's justifiable as well that the military went in and killed everyone? Because if I read now in a newspaper in New Mexico, there's been an alien.
But you wouldn't read that. The government would cover it up.
Well, but even if I did, I'd probably go. I mean, it's harsh.
No
They've
one
had
will
to kill
talk
all those
about it.
people.
Weather
But
balloons.
you know, what's that called in films when they have to go through? They come back from space and they have to kind of wait in quarantine. Sorry, quarantine. That's what I'm thinking of. Quarantine. And I think that needs to be quarantined, as in just kill them all because it's too much of a risk to the rest of mankind.
I think that if this game was released today, you'd be one of the soldiers going in and massacring all the scientists.
Yeah.
Forget about Freeman. Sorry, like running around.
Ramirez, kill that scientist.
So I was going to quickly talk about actually, and there's one thing that's great. So a mod's just been released called Black Mesa Source. I don't think you guys, have any of you played it yet?
Yeah.
Adam, who guested on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, he's played it. I was chatting to him about that this morning. And
So you've played it by proxy.
yeah. And although he'd had a couple of gins last night, he said it was brilliant.
I played it this morning.
Incredible. Right, Anthony?
Well, given that I didn't play Half-Life when it was released, so I'm not like a classic fanboy or anything. I'm not this.
That was a chair squeaking. Carry on.
It always is.
That was brilliant.
Because I'm not a huge fan of the original Half-Life compared to Half-Life 2. A remake of the first game, it's still the same kind of plodding,
Okay.
I feel like Half-Life 2 did the sort of cinematic, big set pieces better.
I'm more impressed just at the testament of what they've done.
Their efforts have been amazing. Like,
Yeah.
the level
Like,
detail,
Valve couldn't have done any better.
the
Really?
reproduction. Well, they could have.
No, they couldn't.
Didn't
It's
do better in
the
1998.
level of detail that they've done. I mean, I thought it was just Half-Life being reskinned. They've taken Half-Life and reimagined it in the Source engine. And
No, I
they've
honestly
added
think-
stuff
Didn't
in.
they only release the first half of the game though?
They've released everything up to Zen.
Okay.
They've not done Zen
okay.
because they said it was such a huge departure from the rest of the game
Yeah.
that it's going to take
Just
them a
leave it
long
out.
time to do that. And to be honest, most people would just go, you know what, don't even do Zen. It's not even worth it. But
I think
Yeah.
Valve would do a Half-Life remake better than the...
I think I was amazed playing it because it was just, and the reason I was mentioning it is because there's a bit where you're talking about the shooting of scientists, a bit where soldiers are talking. They've added whole rooms in, new dialogue, and it all sounds perfect. But there's where some scientists going, God, none of these scientists are fighting back. They're such wimps. You just run in and shoot them in the head. It's great fun. I enjoyed that. It's brilliant. I'm going to go home and play it.
That was
after
in the
this.
original.
Does he say that in the original?
There's two...
There's a bit where they go, I can't wait to get this Freeman because he's been killing all my buddies.
No, there's two
I hear
scientists
that.
talking in the original game, and they're saying, I've shot like 3 scientists already, they're not fighting back.
Do it in a voice. You can't just say it like that.
Speaking of the soldiers' voices, right, they always... When I first played this game, I was thinking, or when I was playing it recently for the first time, I was thinking, these soldiers are always talking like robots, with the crackly radio voice. And I thought maybe it was just a limitation of the time, right? But then I realised that all the scientists and stuff have perfectly normal voices. And even when the soldiers are standing next to each other talking, they've still got the radio crackle.
Yeah.
And when they're throwing grenades and stuff, it's like, fire in the hole. And they throw a grenade at you. It's like, why haven't they just recorded regular voices of someone shouting fire in the hole?
I actually noticed the answer to this. Valve went into the effort, especially for the woman on the train, to film rather than... It's really bizarre. They didn't film individual lines of dialogue. They filmed individual words.
Oh, really?
So that when modders came along... And
I got that impression.
When designers came along to do stuff, they could piece their own sentences together and put them in the game. But what you do get is soldiers saying things like, get down! And stuff like that. But, yeah, I thought it was really cool. That's why a lot of the games where you play the mods, some of them are really good because they've actually been given the voice packs. So, like, the woman on the train especially, you'll hear her a lot in other mods.
Yeah.
Because they gave her, like, she recorded loads of words going, welcome to the Black Mesa, all that.
Well, the soldiers in this game were another big revolutionary part of it.
Yeah.
Because the AI because they would take cover and retreat and run forward, whereas every other game up to this point, the soldiers are just programmed to run at you, basically.
Bit of fun time. Who knows what half-life in the world of science stuff actually means?
The rate at which stuff decays, carbon-based materials decay.
All of us know it, Jack.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I had to look.
We know it because we took GCSE science.
That's where carbon dating comes from. That's how they date stuff, is by working out its half-life.
Half-life is time required for a quantity to fall to half its value as measured at the beginning of the time period. In physics, it's typically used to describe a property of radioactive decay. Yeah, that's what you said. Yes, that's right. But it was really cool. I was like, okay.
What did you get for GCSE science, Jack?
I got double B.
Oh,
I got double A. How comes he
Wait, what? Double? What?
GCSEs
I
you
did
can
two. I
do
don't know
single,
why.
double. They now do triple award as
I
well.
was so good at it, I sat it twice. I don't know why. Anthony, you got any other points? Has anyone got any other points they'd like to make? Because I
was going to say this earlier in the discussion, but I think that the reason that Zen is it has that tacked-on feel and it's a bit like jerky and weird and rubbish, is because Valve were facing really, really serious money problems at the time of the development of Half-Life, and I'm pretty sure that was like mega crunch time, and they're just like, right, finish it, do whatever, get out the door. So
yeah, no, you're right. Actually, they were, and it's nice that now they've actually got the money to do kind of what they want, and that's why fans, I guess, love them. I wanted to quickly talk about something that I'm not sure if you guys... Have you ever heard about the great years of gaming?
no.
is that what, like the golden age?
Basically,
What,
whenever
years when awesome games came
Everyone
out?
says
Yes.
98, it's like the best year ever.
Well, I thought I'd share this because Half-Life came... I remember reading it. I never played Half-Life in the first 6 months it came out because of this, and I've got a little diagram. I thought I'd show it around.
Okay.
There are certain years, and some people talk about 80s and the 70s. There's a few years in that, but 97 and 98, and I remember these years so well because the amount of games that came out was insane. I thought I'd just quickly show you because there was the known as the month was the November 1998. The following October to November the 30th, the following games came out. You had, even though already in that year you already had StarCraft, Banjo-Kazooie, Rainbow Six, Metal Gear Solid, and Spyro all came out. Then in 1 month you had Pokemon Red and Blue. A week later, Turok 2. Then a week later, Grim Fandango, Xenogears Ultimate Online. On the same day, Sin, Heretic 2. Then the Dreamcast came out. Another day later, you had Crash Bandicoot 3. Another week later, you had Half-Life. Another week later, you had Zelda Ocarina of Time. Another week later, you had Tomb Raider 3. And then you had StarCraft Broad War, Thief, Baldur's Gate, Populous Beginning, Carmageddon 2, Myth 2, and Tribes all come out in the same 4 weeks.
Oh, why don't we have things like that anymore?
Well, I think
We do. I remember that month because it was Christmas. I was making my list, and that's why Half-Life snuck in the middle because you had Zelda. I think
with the
Metal Gear
Pokemon,
Solid was that year
Crash
as well.
Bandicoot 3, yeah.
And it was insane. I remember going to like HMV, the game shop near us, and it was I wanted to cry because there were so many games I wanted to buy. It was nuts. I ended up getting Tomb Raider 3, the worst game in the pack that I could have got. But the other year I put on there was 2007 because that was a really popular year for games. That was when
I think 2009 and 10 and 11 were better than 7 actually.
You
a lot of good games.
I don't know,
4,
Galaxy.
Rock Band, Galaxy, Orange Box in 2007, Crackdown, Halo 3.
I think that 98, when you actually, if like living through it and playing them, like I didn't play many of these games when they were released. They weren't actually. I mean, some of them were reviewed spectacularly. Some of them were like, I mean, Ocarina, for example. Most people in the know seem to think it's the best game of all time. But I say that year is probably more iconic for spawning popular franchises than it is for actually having such a great mass of quality games.
I would disagree with you, only because look at the game. Okay, you've got the best, what arguably is the best stealth game ever made in '98. Metal Gear Solid came out in
Metal Gear
September.
Solid 1 is the weakest of the series.
You've got arguably the best Game Boy game ever made, Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yeah,
I don't think that's on edge. But you've got arguably the best first-person shooter people regard as Half-Life. Arguably the best adventure game, Ocarina of Time. You've got arguably the best RPG, Baldur's Gate.
Really? Who's
A
gonna
lot of
argue
people
that?
think that. I think that. And you also in December had Mario Party and Sonic Adventure slip out as well. Banjo-Kazooie, probably one of the best platformers ever made.
Yeah.
I say probably a lot. And Unreal and StarCraft that year as well.
I think both Unreal and StarCraft were pretty
StarCraft's probably the greatest RTS ever made.
It was a good time for gaming, and
It's the most popular, but I wouldn't say it's the best.
There's a lot of major releases, obviously, and we don't see that many these days, but you still notice every November, there's, like last November, there were, I think, 3 big releases.
Skyward Sword was last November.
On the PC especially, there
Arkham
was...
City, I think as well.
I think Skyrim was in November? When was Skyrim?
Skyrim was earlier this year, wasn't
No, I
it?
think Skyrim was maybe about February. I don't know actually. No,
This
you might
year.
be right.
It was 2012, it wasn't 2011, I don't think.
I'm pretty sure Skyrim was 2011.
Was it?
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
maybe
no,
you're right,
last
maybe you're
November
right.
there were 3, I think, huge releases, and I can't remember what they were, but
Skyward Sword was one of them.
people are going crazy. But that still happens, it's just not as with not.
I guess
titles.
it's just
The thing
more that
is, they
98
do-
spawned what a lot of people would regard
Yeah.
as absolute classics,
Yeah.
all in a few months.
But the thing is, they stagger the releases on purpose, like Hollywood,
Oh,
or like
yeah.
Hollywood does with big movies. They stagger the releases to maximise the amount of revenue they can get. Because if they release 5 amazing movies on the same weekend,
Yeah.
people are only going to go see one. Whereas if they spread it out over a number of weeks, then more people are likely to go and see more than one film.
It's
So it's the same
a
with
shame.
games.
It's a shame as well because it's changed a little bit because a lot of people don't want to go up against Call of Duty anymore. So things like Bioshock Infinite got delayed to March.
Is that because of Call of Duty?
Not possibly. They added in a multiplayer
Because
mode.
I will kill Bobby Kotick myself.
That got
He's
delayed
got
to
a
March.
psychotic look in his
I
eye.
wanted to do a bad word, but I didn't. Oh my
Well
god!
done.
I need that game to
There's,
come out.
there's a lot of rumours that circulate, but like Aliens Colonial Marines got delayed as well. Something else got delayed, and I can't remember. Tomb Raider got delayed as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's because they don't want to get buried in the mass that is this. I mean, this year we've got Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed 3,
Medal of Honor, right? Warfighter.
Medal of Honor Warfighter's coming out.
Wii U's coming out.
The Wii U. So it's going to be a busy time, and a game like Tomb Raider, as much as popular it is, would get buried under all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, any other points anyone would like to raise?
I got some negative points I'd like to make. As good as I think this game is, despite my limited enjoyment of it personally, I've got some points I'd like to throw at you, Jack, because you loved it a lot more than me.
Yeah, go on then.
See what you think of them.
Oh yes.
Shall we just do our own thing, James?
Well, no,
Yeah.
Lysanne, I don't know if you've gotten to some of these points, and I know James already just likes it more than I do, so he probably just agree with everything I say. Whereas Jack's sort of the perfect person to bounce.
You have no opinion anymore, Jim.
I'm just a little sick of.
No, his opinion just isn't necessary.
Anthony speaks for both of us now.
I thought, like in Half-Life 2, the people always say that the canal boat section was quite long.
Yeah.
I think that this game's canal boat section was the on a rail section,
Yes, on a rail is a bit of a dull section.
and that's an example of where I say it kind of plods along, because even though you're getting off the train, fighting people, shooting guns and stuff, it feels like it's padded out a lot.
The one of the weaknesses in Half-Life, one of the very few, I think, is the pace is sometimes a bit off. For example, when you do Blast Pit, you beat that big old monster thing.
Yeah.
You're like, awesome. You go straight into, I think it's Power Up or something, and you fight another massive monster straight away. The big thing that goes with fire coming out of its arms.
Oh yeah.
And it always feels a bit weird to me that you fight that big monster, then you fight another one straight away. It's like they could have almost put on a rail in the middle and then had that bit,
Yeah.
and just pace it. And there are times I think where the pacing in the game definitely is
I'm
sometimes
pretty
padded
sure I
and-
read that they developed a lot of the sequences in the game independently and then just kind of shoved them together.
Yeah,
That makes
that's
sense.
right, yeah.
I love the soldiers, the AI. I thought they were pretty good, realistic enemies.
Well, the thing about them running away when they're hurt, again, that was new for a game.
He didn't get to the criticism yet. You're already jumping in.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, go on.
I love them, and I thought they were great enemies. And then there's a
He
point
said
in the
something
game.
positive, and you defended the game anyway.
Got to.
There's a point in the game. I'm not sure if it ever occurs again, but you come across these female death ninjas.
They are quite annoying, aren't they?
And first of all, why is the military hiring female death ninjas?
And why can they jump? Like they've got trampolines sellotaped to their legs.
Yes.
What's wrong with having females in a game?
Nothing wrong with having female military members, but death ninjas in cat suits, and they
Why?
run around really quickly, shooting you
okay.
from the shadows.
They're not human. You never really get what they are, but they're just insane because they jump and they just disappear.
Well, I assume they're part of the military and they're just trained really well.
Yeah, but even then, you kind of just go, where the hell did that one go?
But- In a game that's got aliens for enemies, they seem like the huge departure from everything else that was so down to earth, and that just seemed like absolute bull roar. In a game of otherwise completely legitimate enemies.
Hang on. What word was that?
I don't know if I have to bleep that or not.
No, that's why I said it, so you didn't have to bleep it.
Bull
What?
roar.
Bull roar. It was in a film I watched recently, and now I can't think what it was. I was quoting
What are you
someone.
saying it instead of?
I can't say it because he'll bleep it.
Oh,
The
okay.
things that cows lay, I guess, or male cows produce on
Eggs.
their
Ruby eggs.
It's another word that starts with bull and means something. that you
what's
don't
your
believe.
other criticism?
Bullying.
Well, no, another point I had.
Segment.
Bull roar.
I think those are the two things.
These
that
points are
jumped
all
out at me
bull
most.
roar. I tell you that they're all bull roar. These points. Go on.
I think that was the thing that jumped at me most. But another point I wanted to make was this game sort of championed the scripted event, the in-game scripted event, which you've already discussed. Mm-hmm. And I was going to ask, well, everyone really, do we think that became a crutch for FPSs? Because nowadays you can't get an FPS that's not scripted, basically.
I haven't played any other FPSs, so I don't know.
James and Jack?
You're talking most about Call of Duties, aren't you? I would think most because they are heavily scripted.
Yeah, like a lot of games go for that. And there's this Like, I think that's become a crutch. Sort of, they rely on it for these big set pieces, and that's sort of limiting because you can take advantage of it. And
I always remember
break
when I would agree with you, but I always remember when Serious Sam came out and how much people loved it because they would say it was an old shot to like Doom days.
Yeah.
I recently played Serious Sam 2 though, and I'll be honest, I prefer the scripted style. I don't enjoy anymore the
I don't think
mass enemies coming at you.
That paradigm really has to exist. I don't think it's either the scripted sort of linearity of Half-Life versus just the madness, the free-for-all that is Serious Sam. Because you do get, I think actually recently Borderlands is a good example.
Borderlands is a good example.
One
Yeah, that's a
that
good
kind
example.
of straddles the barrier pretty well. But no, I agree with Anthony. I think that FPSs, especially today, especially Call of Duty, are relying on those set pieces, the pre-designed sort of animations that are currently like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then you just go on with the level, like nothing's really changed.
I think again, any game that really doesn't reward a second playthrough, if they're going in that direction, I think it's a bad thing. Even though I love scripted events. Because they're really impressive big set pieces. Like Call of Duty campaigns are great, but I never play them a second time.
Yeah, that's true. We're running out of time, sadly.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry. I even had trivia that I'm not going to say. The only interesting trivia I had was that this is Quentin Tarantino's favourite game.
Well, Half-Life 1?
Yeah, he
When
was.
was he?
He stated that he'd love to make a film adaptation one.
When did
day.
he say this though?
Back in '98, probably when he was famous.
Glorious Bastards wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. Oh, I don't have to believe that. No, it's all right. That's a good word.
It's a title. It's
Spelled
fine.
incorrect.
And it's spelled incorrectly, so you can say it.
All right, cool. Well, what was I going to say? So yeah, let's get on to the retrograde part of the show. I picked it, so it's my turn. I don't know if you guys actually have seen what I've said, but basically, we're going to review the game. A spaceship comes to Earth, much like not in the game, and out steps Half-Life personified as an extraterrestrial creature. What does the creature do and look like in relation to the game?
Oh, Jiminy Cricket.
So, for example, for me, I think basically Gabe Newell walks out and just goes, to the world, this is me, and he explodes, and everyone immediately, and he showers light on people, and everyone's lives are because the game was so awakening for so many people in the world of games design that it was just like they just had like a universal orgasm at once of just how great this game is.
You're saying that the alien looks like Gabe Newell?
Well, it looks like anything, just explode. It's just
What
a big
are you
ball.
insinuating? That's libel, Jack.
Libel?
It's just a big ball of light, and it showers joy.
You mean libel?
You libel.
James has never heard it said out loud.
Hyperbole.
Yeah, so it's the greatest gift that was ever given to man. That's if an alien came down. That's what.
That's
this
some
game would be.
hyperbole, Jack.
That is.
So
I am throwing out hyperbole.
he died himself to give humanity the gift of Half-Life.
Well, no, I mean he probably just went
Like Jesus.
ciao and wandered back into the ship and flew off again.
So he didn't explode then. Get your story straight, Jack. Come on.
Well, he exploded, but it's kind of part of his creature. Is what he does, and he reforms. But he
like a
gifted
phoenix.
this beautiful. It was like an alien that somehow got into all of our brains and makes us go, "Oh my god, this is incredible!" Like that. Just it made everyone feel happy who came into witness of this alien that is Half-Life. All right, who else? Who's got one they might want to go?
I'm still thinking
I've got
about mine.
James, go on, and James.
I think what immediately springs to mind here is flaccid male genitalia. And all it really does is, I mean, this is striking. It's like anatomically correct. Slightly larger than most, like maybe 9-10 feet tall, slightly larger. And all it does...
Hang on, wait.
Just slightly.
The man is that tall, or the male genitalia is that tall?
It's just male genitalia.
Just the male genitalia, right? Okay. Does it have arms?
No, it's literally just the male genitalia in its entirety.
It's an alien that
Okay.
just looks like...
It's a three-part organism.
Yes,
yeah. Right.
And
Okay.
its actions consist purely of flapping around. That's all that's going on here.
Just stand there going, "Look at me."
But the thing is, everyone
loves it.
Everyone's coming up to it, and they're like, oh, "Please speak unto us your wisdom." And it can't speak because it's a cock and balls. And they're just kneeling down and they're praying to this genitalia, and it's doing nothing else, just flapping about, and it stays there for the next 14 years.
I think to me, the alien that would step out would be Morgan Freeman, because he's someone.
Next to the giant cock and balls.
No, this is my own one. There's no penises in mine, apart from Morgan Freeman's, obviously. Anyway, well, you can say penis. That's not a swear word.
Fine, okay.
Sentence structure. I'm sorry.
You're the one who brought it up, mate.
Yeah.
Anyway, because
Innuendos.
Because Morgan Freeman is revered all around the world for being awesome, and everyone respects him. He has a lot of influence over what goes on.
If I was doing a film, I'd make him play Eli. who's a character in Half-Life 2.
Oh, right, okay, sorry, I didn't know
go
that.
on, yep.
Yeah, and he's just cool. Awesome. And so, he'd be... Half-Life would be Morgan Freeman.
So Morgan Freeman sets out the spaceship, and the real world Morgan Freeman goes, what the hell? There's a whole other race of Morgan Freeman somewhere.
Yeah.
And they all talk fantastic.
I can imagine that.
Fantastic, he would not say that. Also, did you say you'd make him play Eli?
Oh, no, I wouldn't make him.
If he said no, would you?
I'd make him an offer he couldn't refuse. That's what I'd do. Anthony?
I can imagine Morgan Freeman as an alien. Like, that's... If you came
not as an alien, no. Okay.
No, I'm saying, if you told me that Morgan Freeman was an alien, I'd be like, that makes sense to me. There's no one that good at acting and that good at speaking, doing narration on Earth. That's not human. Anyway, my alien looks like a regular human, but when he walks out, you realise he's actually quite blocky. And like sort of, he's made up of very few polygons.
Is it like Steve from Minecraft?
Yeah, sort of, but like more like
Lego
the Half-Life models.
Okay.
And this alien, the alien race can't speak, obviously.
Because it's Half-Life, yeah.
Because it's he can't speak.
Or they can just say stuff like, I'll wait here. Like that.
But they say,
I won't take another step.
No, they have pre-recorded words they have to string together into their No, it's like Gordon Freeman, it doesn't speak, but it gives you something, and this is back in the day, like 1900s, it gives you something that sets off the Industrial Revolution, like a cog or something. Like here's a cog and gear.
Oh, that's good.
Or here's how to make a windmill to
it's like a piece of
power.
technology that changes the path of things to come.
It'd be like Prometheus who stole fire from the gods.
Yeah, so he's basically
Against
coming down
man.
and saying, well, he's not speaking, he's telepathically telling you, very blocky looking. He's saying, here's a piece of technology that will influence technology for years to come.
Like a spanner.
Yeah, like a spanner.
And we're back to James's point.
Okay, what? James's point? Okay, that's good. So overall, this wasn't one of our most popular games. Well, actually, no, two of us really loved it. Again, it's kind of an even divide.
I think overall we gave it spanner out of penis.
That's basically 10 out of 10.
My one is. Okay, thank you for listening. If you'd like to follow us, you can follow us on Twitter at Retrograde Show. You can email us whenever at retrograde@psychon.org. And you can also follow us and like us on Facebook. Just search for Retrograde and give us a thumbs up. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please take time to write a review for us on iTunes, as it makes us feel good about ourselves. Lastly, you can also sponsor an episode of Retrograde if you're interested. Just go to psychon.org/sponsor. We're back in 2 weeks with Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, chosen by Spanner Boy, Anthony.
You're the one that brought up spanners.
Why Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island?
I'd never played it before. There's a lot of classic games on the SNES since I didn't have a SNES that I'd never played.
You're a Mega Drive scum, weren't you? Yeah.
And I'm using this show basically as an excuse to go back and play these games, partly to see them from a new perspective.
Have you played this game, Lysanne?
No.
You are going to love it.
Probably,
You're gonna
yes.
love
That's
the
what I'm
hell out
hoping
of it.
for.
Yeah.
But I chose it because it's sort of living in Super Mario World's shadow, and they did a lot of things differently from the first game. They took risks with it. It was quite a different direction, so...
I'm probably not going to like it then.
No, you'll love it.
It's the only game I've played where you can turn
James,
a dinosaur
you
into a
told
machine
me...
gun.
Oh, what? No!
No, but it's
Spoiler.
You told me I'd love Kirby. I
thought you'd
hated
love
Kirby.
I'm sorry, I was
Everyone
wrong.
hates Kirby.
So I just wanted to do it because I think it'd be more interesting to discuss than some of the huge classics we've done, since it was less of a classic. It's not as well known.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, so make sure you guys listening out there play that game before our next show, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks. That's goodbye from me, Jack Marshall. A goodbye from James McFadyen.
Goodbye.
Goodbye from Anthony Hobday.
Goodbye.
And a goodbye from Lysanne Fisher.
Bye.